So between all the tournaments happening at COE this year, Peppy and I sat down to talk about what's important. The next laser update. Give me a test.
Test.
Fold it back. You can fold it all the way up. Yeah.
That's scary.
We're going to go through this changelog quickly because it's the last day of COE and this place closes in a few minutes. So let's start with what's most relevant here. Tournaments.
They, not right now, but they are running the 1v1 tournament completely on laser, and I just wanted to make sure they had the best spectator view that they could. We have the ability in multiplayer spectator to zoom in to a screen, to a single player. I made that look a lot better, and the tweens are a lot smoother and stuff. Oh yeah, and lots of improvements to the tournament client, as we call it, which is a separate mode you can start laser up in that lets you have all the map pool brackets, all the different screens that people use for streaming Oz tournaments. There's a lot more tournaments using that these days, and we've had a lot of feedback on what works, what doesn't work, so I went through and fixed a lot of the common feedback we got.
As part of these changes, there's now even spacing on these little connecting lines. Grid snapping was added for these team boxes because apparently it was completely freehand before. And you'll now receive confirmation before dangerous changes like deleting all teams. Thank this guy for that one. During matches, you might have also noticed this new score difference number.
Because we had people in the World Cup commentators trying their best to do real-time math.
It's a little bit tricky,
God, no! 664!
Meanwhile, in gameplay, you might have felt that spinners kind of feel weird, like they rotate at half the speed you'd expect. As of this update, they feel a bit more natural, and that's especially noticeable on legacy skins.
For the original triangle skin, we implemented a new skin in the design, and that one looked better spinning at half the speed of the mouse input. That was being applied to classic skins as well.
And more for legacy skins, this update also includes better layering for some elements like this right here.
So I think we're finally at the point where legacy skins look correct everywhere. Obviously people still want the result screen skinning and song select to a certain extent. We'll get there, but the actual gameplay experience should be where it should be.
Some storyboards also weren't working as expected, which led to some innocent mistakes like this. And some less innocent ones.
The storyboard is playing in the background, but also playing in each window, but the windows aren't correctly putting the black rectangle, so it's showing storyboard on storyboard.
This looks ridiculous. Okay. Offset changes now apply to all difficulties on a map set too. So if you play and you notice an offset problem on one difficulty, then you go to play another difficulty, that timing change will already be applied. Pretty useful. For all the Taiko and Mania players out there, you'll be happy to know that you can now attach skin elements directly to the playfield. So in Mania, if you want to replicate this old default skin with the HP bar attached right here, you actually can do that, and it applies to every single key count.
Oh my god, I lost my shit at this. So on Windows, audio hardware only reports audio timestamps to a 5 millisecond precision. Obviously we're pushing frames faster than that, so we need to interpolate time values between those 0, 5, 10. We have a system in OS Framework called the clock system, which handles these kinds of interpolation cases. It's all done in a very...
What did you just say?
Hi Smoogie, come over here. What are your thoughts on clocks?
They're fucked.
Yes.
Okay.
There we go. So as I was saying, we use clocks to interpolate. That wasn't working. So depending on your audio hardware, the game was only ever updating its visual state every 0, 5, 10 instead of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It could cause stutters. It could cause audio latency offsets, as in the beatmap offsets changing each time you played a map. Things like that. Things that people reported over the last 6 months where I thought this is your hardware at fault, are actually our fault. That's why I rolled out the hotfix rather than saved it for this release, because I wanted to make sure it was in for the COE tournament so they had the best experience possible. This bug is so bad, I raged on Discord being I'm dropping all tasks I have to fix clocks next week. So that's my next focus.
Okay, on to the editor. First, a few design things. Circle size was replaced by key count in Mania setup screens. Spacers were added to these drop-down menus. And the general layout of the playfield was updated. Someone
brought up that in Stable, the playfield and the timeline and everything was perfectly centered on the screen. So now it all matches vertically.
And you have that thing in the top left corner that says OSU Editor.
Yes.
Along with those, there's been a few quality of life changes for mapping workflows. To start, when you're selecting an object on the playfield and there's multiple things on top of each other, it'll select whatever's closest to the timeline cursor. That's how Stable works too, but previously in Laser, it would select the object on top in this case. This one is a big one.
Yeah, is it?
Whenever I use the Laser Editor, I want to select something and it doesn't select what I wanted to select.
Yeah. Obviously, I wrote the Stable code, right? And you look back and it's oh, that kind of makes sense. Past Peppy did a good job with the user experience.
Thanks, Peppy of 15 years ago.
Yeah.
You might also remember this change to the skin editor where clicking multiple times will cycle through overlapping elements. This also applies to the editor now, which I'm sure mappers will appreciate. So Alabambi came to COE this year too, and we talked about a change he implemented recently. A new way to export beatmaps in Lazer for compatibility in stable. Basically, the Lazer editor supports some new elements like multiple curve types in a single slider, which would break when importing to stable. But with this change, that's no longer the case. You have stable or Lazer exports.
I think this is big for OSU Lazer because it allows the Lazer editor to evolve even more. So adding new features while still being compatible with stable, that will encourage the mappers to migrate to OSU Lazer.
And that's all the editor changes for now. Going to the interface, you'll notice that key eye flashes were added to the main menu. This now playing thing previously had a bug where the wrong background would show up. That's fixed now. In Song Select, when you're in a multiplayer lobby, you can also enable free mod for all mods by just clicking this one button. And in this section, you can see the drain time when hovering length.
Just to mention, there is another optimization for mobile in this release, and it's the biggest one yet. This affects both iOS and Android, and it's at least a 2 times improvement, if not more. It's like all the weird frame starters should be gone.
No updates on App Store.
If people report back positive feedback on this release, maybe we're there.
And one last change to close out this update. Apparently, if you closed Discord then reopened it while Lazer was running, this activity display wouldn't work anymore. As of this update, though, it does. So thanks, Peppy.
Actually, there's another change for Discord coming up, which shows the beatmap thumbnail in the rich presence, which is very cool.
And with that, we're done here. I'm going to go pack up my stuff. Goodbye.